Hello, everyone. Welcome to another action-packed breakout session here in 209B. Hope everybody's been enjoying JNUC, getting everything out of it that you could hope and dream for. My name is Israel Lostu, and I'm the Director of Partner Marketing. I have the privilege today to call Robbie up to speak to some of his experiences. Without further ado, we'll get right into it. I've got Robbie Baber covering speed up your device deployments with placeholders. Put your hands together for Robbie.
Can you guys hear me okay? All right. I'm too old. I can't stand or jump up that stage real quick. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Robbie. There's a lot of you here, so I want to make sure you all know this isn't the Jamf Nation party, right? This is a session. You're going to have to learn something today. I also want to apologize for the glare that comes off my head. If any of you need to put on sunglasses, that's okay. I won't be offended. I've got a 10-year-old daughter at home, so trust me, I know I'm bald. And yeah, if there's any dads out there with the same haircut, I'm sure you probably can back me up there. Yeah. So I'm here today to tell you a story. It's an edge-of-your-seat thriller about how I use placeholders in Jamf School to set up quickly and accurately large numbers of devices. Now I know what you're thinking. It doesn't sound very thrilling. But when you're tasked with setting up hundreds, if not thousands of devices at a time, I think you'll understand why I've learned to find the excitement and efficiency. And hopefully by the end of today, you can learn some tips that helps turn that sanity into something, or that chaos into something that resembles sanity. A quick snapshot about me. Yes, I took that picture this morning. No, I'm just kidding. That's just the only shirt I own. My name is Robbie Baber. I'm the Jamf administrator for the Blue Springs School District. Not many people know where Blue Springs is. It's Blue Springs, Missouri. It's just outside of Kansas City. I'm sure you've all heard of Kansas City. It's the home of Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, and the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Any Chiefs fans in the house? We got a few, okay. One of the people at one of the sessions yesterday didn't want to let me in the door because they didn't like my Chiefs jersey, so not everyone loves us. Are there any other football fans in the house? Any other team fans? What's some other teams we got here? Packers. The Packers, okay. I didn't hear that. Who else? What's that? Dallas. Ooh, you admitted that out loud. All right. So, no, truth be told, I hope you all lose the rest of the season. Now back to Blue Springs School District. We have 19 buildings. That's 13 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 2 high schools. We have over 15,000 students. I personally manage around 9,000 iPads and 200 other various Apple devices. Basically, if it's an Apple product, I'm in charge of it. Thank God, not iPhones. That does not include iPhones, thankfully. Outside of work, I enjoy hiking and traveling with my wife, Amber. We have 3 kids. We have 2 boys and that mean little girl of mine. And we also have a granddaughter. She's almost 2, and it's still really weird to say that word, but she's adorable. One other quick fun fact about me, up until 5 years ago, I actually didn't work in technology. I'd worked in a warehouse and grocery stores for a little over 20 years. And after my last holiday season in a grocery store, I decided that was enough. And I decided to go on to a new career path. And after a year of networking classes and countless numbers of YouTube videos and getting some certifications, I was able to get a job working in technology. And here I am, 5 years later, getting to do what I love, which is making tech work better for people. Quick outline of the topics we're going to cover today. Sorting devices to help with organization. The data entry process, including labeling and scanning. Don't worry, I will keep my Excel talk as painless as possible. An action plan for provisioning devices for enrollment. And then there should be some time at the end where we'll talk about some other ways that you can use placeholders for devices that are already in Jamf School. It doesn't just have to be used for brand new devices. And at the very end, there should be some time for some Q&A where you can ask me questions like, hey, Robbie, can't you just do this for me? The answer to that question is no, I will not do it for you. But I will hopefully teach you how to do it. A quick poll, has anybody been tasked with setting up large numbers of devices in a short amount of time? Several people, all right. Well, for those of you who have, you know how quickly chaos can set in if you don't have a plan. For those of you who haven't, hopefully you'll learn something today to help you avoid the tech world's version of a nervous breakdown. My goal today is to show you how you can go from this, the day the devices arrive, to this, the devices are organized and ready to go out to the schools, to this, the device is in the student's hand. Isn't she cute? That's the mean one. That's my daughter. She loved that she was in this, by the way. She told me the presentation was boring, but she was happy to be in there. So where the project begins, my wife told me to not put a meme in this presentation, and she's not here, so I did it anyways. Right? Boo, right? Yeah. What does she know? She only does it for Yelp, but that's fine. Anyway, so the reason I put this meme in here is because there's several misconceptions about the tech department during the summer, and I'm sure you've all heard my favorite one, which is, you guys are going to be bored. There's not going to be anything for you to do. You're going to sit around and play video games and twiddle your thumbs until the teachers and students come back so you can have something to do. I'm sure we've all heard that, right?
Come intern with us.
Right, yeah. Please come. Don't get paid and come. But no, I always make sure to tell them, like, no, that's wrong. Actually, the summer is the busiest time for the tech department. We have thousands of devices that we're refreshing, all the tech we have to get ready and make sure that it's working when you come back to school. So no, it's actually the busiest time for us. The summer projects that I work on begin the day that school lets out, and it usually takes me up and through to the end of July. I personally am in charge of imaging all of our Windows devices and provisioning the iPads for the first graders, amongst other things. The summer in our department is very chaotic, and getting the projects done quickly is very important. Now I want to go back to that first step. When we have a warehouse, I don't know exactly how much room each of you have. We have a warehouse, and I'm in charge of the warehouse as well, thanks to my warehouse experience. So my favorite part is to go down to the warehouse, and I stand there, and I stare at the pallets, and I really hope they organize themselves. It has not worked for me yet. So unfortunately, what that means is that I'm going to have to do the work myself, but because I have a plan, it's a little bit easier. So scanning and labeling the devices. I want to confess something to you guys. I actually went really deep into the weeds and what my process is. However, I got some feedback, which is husband talk, for my wife told me to not do that. But I took that part out. If you guys do want to hear a little bit about that, please feel free to ask at the end of the session, or if we run into each other later. Probably earlier in the party tonight, not later in the party tonight. I might be able to answer your questions a little bit better. So once we have the devices, we have the pallets of the devices, we now need the roster. We need to know where the devices are going, what building they're going to, and how many are going to that building. I usually get the roster around May. Once I have the roster and the devices, I'm now ready to begin on my project so that I can get these into a worksheet so then I can get them imported into Jamf School and configure them. Once I have the roster, I start going through and I get a count of every single building and how many devices are needed at that building. I then write that down on a piece of paper because I'm old and I like to have things that I touch. So I write those down on a piece of paper. So for example, today, one of our buildings is called William Yates. The letters are WYE. So I'll write WYE needs 94 devices. Once I've done that, once I've done that for the entire school district, all the elementary schools, I'm ready to start sorting and organizing the devices, which is really just a fancy way of saying I grab a marker and I start writing the school's initials on the boxes and sorting them out. Nothing really high-tech about it, but getting organized early, I think, is key. All of us wear several hats throughout the summer, I'm sure. And so if you can get this stuff organized and then get called away or your day ends or whatever, then you've already got that part out of the way. And hopefully you don't have to start back over at the beginning. You've already got that part taken care of. Once I've got the devices sorted by building, I'm ready to start scanning and labeling the devices. That's just a matter of going through and scanning the serial number into my master list, which has a column for the serial number and a column number for the asset tag number. Once I've got all of that information in there, my scanner does this really funny thing where it adds a digit at the front of the serial number. So thankfully, somebody told me this magical formula called concatenate. Have people heard of this? Yes. Okay, well, I didn't think it was a real word, but it is. And what it does is it actually will knock off that first digit, and then you can autofill that for the entire worksheet, and then copy that over. Make sure you copy over the data and not the formula. If you copy over the formula, you'll get an error message, right? Copy over the data, then you're good.
Some scanners can cut the first digit.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a way on that little plastic card that comes in the box. You just have to figure out which one of those is the right one, and I don't want to waste my time doing that. I'm a very impatient person. The concatenate works every time, so that's the way that I go. But yes, there's other ways to do it. But once I've got all that information scanned into the worksheet, I can take a breath, right? The physical part of this job is done. Next is the fun part. So I'm able to kind of relax a little bit. If I get called away to other things, then I can go take care of that. I'm the central office building tech. For any of you who may not know, the central office is where all the district administration work. So I've been told I'm not allowed to tell my superintendent that I'm too busy. So I get called away a lot, especially even during the summer, believe it or not. They're all still working. This thing's not working. All right. Now I've got all my information scanned into the worksheet. I've got all those serial numbers scanned in and the asset tags. I didn't really discuss the asset tags very much, but in my process, I really only have to scan the very first one because I can autofill the rest of them. I do that a few at a time because I'm nervous. I don't want to get too far ahead, so I will double check myself a lot. But it's pretty simple to do once you've got that first digit in there. You just autofill the rest. Now we're ready to use placeholders in Jamf School. This is the fun stuff. I do apologize. I did cut off that part of the slide. And also, apparently there's some cool template out there where you can put a MacBook up here and then put the slide inside there. No one told me that, so I didn't use it. So next time, maybe, I'll use it then. Anyway, so you go to placeholders in Jamf School. You'll actually find it under the devices section in Jamf School. Once you click on it, it takes you to that last page. And then you click Import Placeholders. Once you click Import Placeholders, it then takes you to this page. There's actually some helpful information in this page. On the right-hand side, it will actually give you just a little bit of information as far as like what is in the columns. I can't really see it from this angle, but the serial number and the identification number are actually required. In case you guys didn't know that or see that. You do have to have information in that field. If you don't and you try to import it, you will get an error message. There's also some other helpful things there underneath. For our purposes, we're going to go to the very bottom. There's a link there where you can actually click on that and download the CSV template. Sorry if that's hard to see. Once you click that, it'll download, and then it should pop up. And it should open automatically. When it opens, it looks like this. Disregard the box for right now. It's going to look like the area behind there on the far left side. And all of that information is actually in that first column. We need to get that sorted. This is another thing that I was taught to do because I didn't know how. But we highlight that column A. Once we highlight that at the very top, I cut it off, sorry. At the very top, you'll go to the section that says data or data, however you want to say it. And then underneath there, there's going to be a button that says text to columns. Once you click text to columns, you get this cute little wizard here that will tell you how you can sort it by the delimiter. Jamf School's delimiter is actually a semicolon. So on this first page, we picked delimited, click next. On the next page, I didn't put that slide in here. On the next page, you'll click semicolon, hit next, and finish. Once you do that, it's going to pop up and say, hey, there's already data here. Do you want to replace it? And you'll say yes. When that's done, it actually cleans it up so that it looks like this. Don't worry, the serial numbers on the far left side are created by ChatGPT. They are not real. You can't do anything with my devices, so don't even think about it. So the fields that are required are those first two, where you have serial number, and then you have the device number. I think I have a few more that are devices in here than are actually in the first original worksheet, but you can autofill that field. So really, you're only worried about the serial number field. You'll delete the information in there and copy your serial numbers out of your original worksheet. Now, I will tell you, I break my placeholders down into one worksheet per building. It's another way where I can do that, and so if I get called away or whatever, then I've at least got one building done. I also am in charge of the college intern team, and one year, they were all sitting around Snapchatting, watching YouTube, whatever 20-year-olds do, and not working, and it was driving me insane. I used to manage a grocery store for a while, so people standing around is not okay with me. So I had to stop what I was doing in the middle of that, and after I got done with one building, I got that information and threw it into a placeholder and imported it and configured it, and then gave them those devices so they could start enrolling. And then I was able to continue on with my project. But in that way, everyone was working. So we were all working towards the same goal, and they weren't sitting around doing nothing. once we have the information pulled out for, say, like William Yates, WYE, I pull the serial numbers for William Yates, I put that into my worksheet, my placeholder, and then I can autofill the identification field, and it'll autofill the devices all the way down to the bottom where the serial number ends. That's another way that I can check and make sure that I have the right number of devices. So I go back to that original sheet that I did, 94, 94, perfect. Now, in the far right field, you'll see I have location. I have it set for Jamf School. That is the way that I was taught. I believe that anybody else could do it because Jamf School is a location in Jamf School. I put that in the top field, and then I autofill that down to the bottom. The reason I do that is because in the next step, when I go to filter the devices, I filter them by that location. The only devices that are set with that location in the DEP are the ones that I just imported. So it gives me another way to double check my numbers and make sure that I've got all the devices that I want for that building. So once I've got all the information, I've got my serial numbers in there. I've got the device number auto-filled all the way to the bottom, so I don't have any empty cells in those two columns. And Jamf School filled, I'm ready for the next step. I'm sorry, make sure you save it. Good idea, right? So I save it, and then I'm ready to import it. So then I go back to this page, and at the very top, on the left-hand side, you'll see where it says Choose File. Hit Choose File. The placeholder is actually, the file that you're looking for is actually going to be located in the Downloads folder, because that's because you downloaded it, and so that's where that caused me a little confusion at the beginning. But you'll find it in the Downloads folder. You click the file that you just saved for whatever building you're working on, so WYE. At the bottom there, you're going to see a box that says device, I don't remember what it says now, sorry. Add missing device groups. I don't want it to do that. I've already got my device group set. I already know where I want my devices to go. I don't want the import to create new groups that I'm not aware of. So I uncheck that box. There's a couple other boxes there. For our purposes, we do not use those, so I just leave them checked. I then hit Start Import, and then that's when it will take me to this page. At the very bottom, you're going to see Import Tasks. On this one, you'll actually see the bars kind of yellow. The reason that that bar is yellow is because the devices that I have imported were already in Jamf School. What you're going to be looking for when you do this with brand new devices is for that bar to be green. Not only will it be green, but on the far right-hand side, it will tell you how many devices it added. We want to see 94, right? Because that's the number that we imported. 94 matches our worksheet. It matches the original account that we had. I feel pretty good about the amount of devices that I've got scanned into here and imported. I feel like I've got the right amount of devices. I also feel like I've got them ready to go to the new, or to receive the new configuration, sorry. So we are going to talk a little bit about devices that are already in Jamf School, but what you're looking for here is you want that to turn green. If it doesn't turn green, if you get an error message and it doesn't turn green, there's actually a log that you can download, and it could tell you why that device didn't import correctly. So that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're doing devices that are already in there. Could be you tried to import something that already had a different location or had the same location. Could be a couple other reasons. Once we've done that, the devices are in there. We're ready to configure them. Now, the reason I did this is because I want you guys to see, in my opinion, the easy part of this, which is I've already imported that worksheet. Now I can go into the DEP and go to Filter and change the location to Jamf School. Once that happens, I know that the devices that are in there are those ones that I just imported. So I imported the 94 devices. I filtered to Jamf School. I can click that top box on the left-hand side, and it will tell me 94 devices selected. Another way I can check my numbers. I then assign the profile. This is WYE. I have a pre-stage that I have set for it. I assign the WYE pre-stage for it, wait for it to say the profile's been assigned, I check that top box again, and I assign it to the location for William Yates. Once that's done, all those devices disappear. They're no longer in the location Jamf School, right? They're now in a new location, which is William Yates. It's, again, another way that you can check and make sure that you've done everything correctly as you want those devices gone. So that's kind of the end of that process. I've configured them, I've imported them. Now I can do whatever I need to with them inside of Jamf School. They're ready to be enrolled. Time to take another breath. Enrolling devices. That cute little girl's back. So the reason that I actually had Finley on here today is because it's a very simple task once you've got the devices configured. You've already done everything on the back end, right? I've got instructions for my college kids on how to enroll the devices. So I will tell you a quick story. One day, my wife was at work on a work trip, and it was bring your daughter to work day. At least that was what we decided we were going to do. I had to bring Finley with me to school, or to work before she went to school. I told her, I said, Finley, I'm very, very busy. 30 minutes is all I need you to do. You got to watch videos for 30 minutes. You're going to have to entertain yourself. I cannot entertain you. 5 minutes went by. 5 minutes. And I think I'm rounding up. And she was bored. I'm bored. What can I do? I'm bored. I don't want to watch videos. This child could sit and watch videos at home forever. She couldn't watch videos anymore. She was bored. I said, I don't have anything to do to entertain you. So, and then I thought about it. Wait a minute. I've already got all of these. I've already got the placeholders imported. I've already got the devices configured. I got a couple of boxes sitting in my office. All right, fine. I got something for you to do. So I pulled the boxes over. I gave her that worksheet, and I told her, hey, just follow the instructions. Now, she's 10. She's almost 11. She's a very bright child. She actually, true story, helped me build this presentation because I had never done one before, and she's been doing them for years. So I gave her the instructions. She sat down and she knocked out 2 boxes, maybe 20 iPads. Not a lot, but she was able to do that. She actually had to troubleshoot a couple times. She'd forgotten the number and the student's email address. And she was able to do all that on her own. I was very proud of her. When it was time to go, she was actually upset. She wanted to stick around and asked if she could. Now she wants to come back and do it all the time. And I told her, no, that doesn't work, Dad. I didn't even have to bribe her with ice cream. But the reason that she's on there is because once you've done all the stuff that you can do on the backside with the placeholders and everything like that, it's just so easy. Anybody can help you. So we are lucky enough that we have some college interns. They're the ones that usually do most of the enrolling. Anybody else brave enough to let your kids help you set up devices? Yeah? Good job. That's cheap labor. I like it. Oh, well, it's still a little cheaper than probably, but yeah, mine luckily didn't want the ice cream. All right, so this is what our final product looked like. All the devices are sorted by building. The devices in those boxes are cased. They have been imported. They have been configured. They've been enrolled. Those are ready to go to the school. And when they get to the school and they get passed out to the students, they are ready to go. The students already signed in on them. It's already got all the profiles on it that it needs. We really actually have very little problems with our iPads at the beginning of the year. My Windows guys cannot say that about their devices. But my iPads are usually in pretty good shape, which helps save me some of the, of course, then I am helping the Windows guys. But hey, it saves me a little bit of stress because we've already done everything on the back end. The iPad only has a certain type of configuration profile on things that it can pull. So it's already ready to set up. The environment's ready to go. The students can take the devices and just start working. All right. This is going faster than I thought, so we do have time to talk about placeholders. There's other ways that you can use placeholders for devices that are already in Jamf School. I actually had to do this while I was building this presentation. So in our district, we have iPads all the way from 6th generation all the way to 9th generation. And I have iPads that are 9th generation that I haven't really used yet, so I needed to start refreshing my devices. So we decided we were going to take all the 6th generation iPads that are being used in carts, and we wanted to update those. Well, at first I thought I was just going to have to go through all my iPads and just manually configure several of them for each building. Then I got to thinking about it. All the 4th graders are transitioning to Windows devices. So now I've got an excess of iPads. So what I did was I had my building techs count out the number of iPads they needed to replace the old ones, send me those serial numbers. Once I get that list of serial numbers, they were supposed to send in an Excel format. I'm sure you guys know. They don't always follow all the instructions, so they sent me a list of it in an email. Not a big deal. While this was going on, someone sent me a list of 30 iPads. Hey, I need these to have the cart profile They're set up for students right now. Okay, no big deal. I copy that list of 30 serial numbers. I slap it into a placeholder. I import it into Jamf School. I go to the DEP. When I go to the DEP and I filter it by Jamf School, there's those 30 iPads, right? Because I just imported them with the location of Jamf School. I might have skipped a step there. You have to fill out the worksheet how I had it filled out in my slide. Sorry. Once I do that, I check the box. Again, I double check my numbers. They sent me 30. I'm showing that I have 30. I then change the profile or assign the new profile, which is the card iPad profile. Once that's done, I then check the top box and I assign the new location to whatever building they want to use it at. Once that's done, then all they have to do on their end is they have to wipe the iPad, reconnect it to the network and enroll it, and then it will have the new profile, so we've switched them over. Now during the summer, I let my techs, I leave erase all content and settings on, so they can do all the wiping and things like that themselves, or they can have the college interns help them. It's a little bit bigger process once the school year started, and I have to turn that off because the kids find it and they wipe their own iPads. So once I turn that off, it's a little bit bigger process. I would have to wipe them myself, sorry. I would have to wipe them myself, but it is an easier process because of placeholders. I can do all that in just a couple clicks and then change the profiles on those devices. There are other ways that you can actually go into the devices section of Jamf School and filter the devices down. So if you need to move some devices from one group to another, you could filter that down in devices. You can then export that information, grab those serial numbers, throw them into a placeholder, and then change the configuration for them. So there's ways that you can do that with devices that are already in there that may save you some time from just copying and pasting single serial numbers at a time, and hopefully help speed up your process a little bit. You guys are going to really like this next slide. All right, so that is how I use placeholders. It helps me speed up my deployments and helps speed up the projects during the summer. I've only been in tech for 5 years, so when this stuff works and works the way that it does, it's always amazing to me and a little magical. It makes my job so much easier and makes me really be able to do things more efficiently. I'm an impatient person, so I want to get things done as quickly as possible. Hopefully you've learned something today. More than welcome to ask questions, but just remember, the less questions you ask, the less time those two are going to be on the screen. So.
I have a mic, so if you all want to raise your hand, I'll gladly get you a mic for any questions.
One back there, one there.
So we use Jamf Pro. I've never used Jamf School, but we use Mutt to import data like that to Jamf Pro. Do you guys use Mutt for Jamf School? Is it not available, or it's just you just don't do it?
Not something that I don't know if it's actually even available for Jamf School. I personally have not ever used it, so I don't know the answer to that question. Sorry, somebody up here probably would more than I would, but I do not know.
Anybody know? Oh, okay.
There you go. That would be why I don't know about it. We only are Jamf School, so.
We also use Jamf Pro, not Jamf School. And can I use a placeholder to do this in Jamf Pro?
I have not used a placeholder in Jamf. Again, we have only been Jamf School, so somebody else would probably have to answer that. I'm sorry. Is there a response or a question? Well, there you go.
We're also on Jamf Pro, and there's a very similar feature with it. It's called inventory preload. You guys might be able to check that out. But it does the same thing where you can load asset tags, locations, and all that, as long as you got the serial number of the iPad.
Sorry, I didn't research Jamf School or Jamf Pro. Never used it.
Any other questions?
You could have just had her ask. I mean, you're right next to each other. We didn't talk about her. Well, that's okay. Please keep them on screen as long as you want.
So it sounds like you have student data entered into each of your iPads. So you enroll the iPad that's going to be assigned to the student with their email address and everything?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have smart groups for all of them, or are all of your iPads set up the same for first through fourth?
No, I've got smart groups set up for them based on, because the different grades need different apps. So I've got them set up. I can set them up by, you can really drill it down. So if the fourth graders need an app, I can set up a group and sort it just by the fourth grade, and then I throw the app on there, and then it will just install to just that. Or I have buildings, some buildings want like ABC Mouse, and some don't. So I can set up the groups that way. And I can do that before. I can do that before or do it after the fact. I can do that after the fact too. I can just set up a new group and add the location.
I will be right back to you.
Got to go in order.
Got to be fair.
All right, so our previous Mac admin, she's no longer, with us, so I've been kind of taking over. And then we have locations by school name, but you said that Jamf School was working for you. Is that something that's automatically set up by Jamf School?
The location of Jamf School?
Yes.
You know what? It's funny that you asked me that question. I honestly don't know the answer. I'm really sorry for that. I thought of this earlier today, and I was like, I don't know, and I don't know how to find the answer to that. That's how it was taught to me, unfortunately. So I would assume, because we have Jamf School listed in our ASM as one of the locations, that is why it is in Jamf School, so that's why I'm able to use it. But I don't know I don't know the answer to that.
I think we have someone that knows.
Oh, there you go.
When you're setting up your locations in Apple School Manager, when you set up the address and whatever, it uses that when you link ASM with Jamf School.
Oh, got
so
it.
you'll actually see that in your administration / I think locations tab that you see, and then when you import devices. So if you have multiple locations in Apple School Manager, like say your middle school or high school or elementary school in there as separate locations, or different schools within your district, those will all show up as different locations, and you can have different configurations for each one of them.
Yeah, sorry. So the guy that I trained with, I think I had 2 months with him, and then he was gone. I had this much Jamf Pro experience, and they were like, "Oh, you're the guy." So I didn't get to learn all that. A lot of this stuff I've had to kind of teach or get help with. I do know that Jamf School, like when we purchase some licenses and stuff like that, I have to assign them to Jamf School for them to show up for me to be able to assign them to devices. So he must have already set that up before I got there. Sorry.
Back to the question about the grade levels. How do you get your groups, your rostering from your SIS?
It's pulled in, that information, the grade level and stuff like that, all information comes from Jamf School, or from Apple School Manager. My guess is that they get that information from PowerSchool, because that's what we use. So that would be my guess, is that somehow there is a connection there. That's way over my database knowledge.
We had a good integration from Apple, our SIS, which is Blackbaud, to Apple School Manager with Claris Connect that
Okay.
Apple connected us with. Just want to tell everyone that, because it's like a hidden kind of thing. I don't know if anyone else uses Claris Connect.
I've heard that mentioned a few times this week.
Yeah. It's like you have to talk to your Apple SE about it. It's free, but it's a really good connector between SIS and Apple School Manager.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll take that back with me.
I will note that there are some issues with it in PowerSchool.
Definitely issues in general.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
PowerSchool and Claris Connect do not talk so well to each other, and it has to do with PowerSchool is so editable
Mm-hmm.
that it's not a straight across. You can't just connect it. You actually have to work with the team at Claris and with PowerSchool, or if you have your own PowerSchool engineer like we do.
Yeah.
We still have about 5-10 more minutes. Any other questions?
Not really a question, but one of the things I use in Apple School Manager is you can actually filter down by those locations in Apple School Manager, and you can actually download the list of serial numbers directly out of it,
Oh, interesting.
and that can help eliminate some scanning.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Pro tip. Thanks, Everett. Anyone else? All right. With that, I invite you to give one more round of applause to Bobby. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This was an experience, so thank you. I appreciate that.